Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our June 13th, 2022 regular meeting of Belleville City Council. For everyone watching on the city streaming service or on our YouTube channel or on the Your TV broadcast, I would point out that the agenda and all the reports for today's meeting are on the city website, which is at www.belleville.ca. And if you go to that site and click on the Agenda Minutes and Live Meeting video icon on the left side of the screen, it'll bring you to the calendar for, click on June 13th, and it'll bring you to today's agenda. There is a hyperlink located in the agenda in the event you wish to look at the actual specific reports, and you can follow along with us. I'll now call the meeting to order and state that we are all present, and I'll ask Director of Corporate Services and City Clerk Matt McDonald to lead us in a moment of reflection.
May we be worthy custodians of all that has been entrusted to us. Help us to be concerned only for what will promote good government. May we bring to our council chamber minds that think and hearts that feel, always having respect for others so that we may serve the people of our city in a helpful manner and for the good of all.
I would ask that we remain standing for a moment of silence to honor two individuals who have passed away since our last meeting. Rod Hines was a former employee of the Belleville Utilities Commission and of Viridian Connections prior to his retirement. He was a diligent and trusted employee on our behalf, and we are grateful for his service. Our condolences go out to his wife Carol, his family, and his friends. John Smiley was a champion for all the residents of Quinte, including Belleville, and served as a businessman and philanthropist. He was also the 8-wing honorary colonel and represented hundreds of Belleville residents who serve in uniform for our country. Our condolences go out to his wife Angela and their family and friends. Thank you. You may be seated. All right, item 3 on our agenda, disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Does anyone have anything like to declare today? Seeing none, there are no public meetings today, and we'll move to item number 5, which is reading and confirmation of the minutes of the regular council meeting of May 24th and the regular in-camera meeting minutes of May 24th as well. Moved by Councillor Alsop, seconded by Councillor Kelly. Any questions or discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor? It's carried. There are no deputations today, so we'll move on to correspondence. Starting with item 7.1, there's an email from Jordan Short, request for a road closure. And the resolution is that the June 3rd, 2022 email from Jordan Short, HBS Property Maintenance, located at 552 Ashley Street, Foxborough, requesting the closure of Ashley Street from Mudcat Road to Doucette Road on July 1st, 2022 from 8 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. to allow for a community fireworks display be approved. Moved by Councillor Sandison, seconded by Councillor Carr. Any discussion on this? All in favor? It's carried. The next item is the Alexicon Energy Community Report for the 4th quarter of 2021, and the resolution is that the Alexicon Energy Community Report Q4 2021 be received. Moved by Councillor Feeney, seconded by Councillor Alsop. Any discussion? All in favor? It's carried. Item 7.3, a letter from the Downtown District to Council regarding a street closure. And the resolution is that the request from the Downtown District for a street closure and use of city sidewalks and parking spaces for Downtown at Dusk and Caribbean Festival, June 24th and 25th, 2022, be approved as follows. That the section of Front Street between the south side of Victoria Avenue and the north side of Bridge Street be closed to traffic, subject to emergency vehicle access from June 24th, 2022 at 11 a.m. to June 25th, 2022 at 9 p.m. Moved by Councillor Alsop, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Any discussion on this? Councillor McCaw, and we're in open session, so stand please. Yeah, thank you.
Given that the BIA is already advertising on June 24th and the city's promoting our Caribbean Festival, it's very difficult not to support the closure. I guess the only concern or question I had was related to the bylaw about the refreshment vehicles being prohibited by the BIA boundaries. Is there an exception? Maybe I could ask the clerk on that.
Sure. Mr. McDonald, or Director McDonald, I should say.
Through the chair to Councilor McCaw, the waiver was approved by council at the last meeting of council for the waiver during this period.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on this? I'll call the question. All in favor? It's carried. 7.4, the letter from the Belleville Chamber of Commerce regarding an event addition to the Waterfront Festival 2022. And the resolution is that the June 7th, 2022 letter from Belleville Chamber of Commerce advising council of the addition of Courie's copter helicopter rides to the event schedule at the Waterfront and Multicultural Festival on July 9 and 10th, 2022, weather permitting, be approved and referred to staff. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Councillor Feeney and a seconded by Councillor Thompson. Any discussion on this? Councillor Millette.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Can I just get you to hit your mic, please? Thank you. Yeah.
Through you to whomever can answer my question, is this Corey's the same copter company that in the past has held tours on Waterfront Weekend and the like? Does anybody know?
I'm seeing some people shaking their heads saying that they're not aware if that's that information. Is that contingent upon your vote today?
I know that in the past there have been no issues with the company, but if it's a new one, and I just, you know, whenever there's helicopters flying over large groups of people, I have a few questions. It's just
No, fair enough. So I'm just trying to think of how we want to deal with it, Councillor Millette, because we should have had that information for you. And
Yeah.
I didn't ask the question when I saw it.
Sorry, and you know what, I read this earlier, and I could have probably asked, but you know what, I'll approve it, but
We'll get that information for you.
Yeah,
I
I'd
see
appreciate it, yeah.
Manager Post will follow up with you, and let's make a deal. If you have some serious concerns, let me know, and then we'll try to address them, because the challenge is our next meeting
Yeah.
is only going to be a couple
days
weeks
away.
before that. So
I guess
let's get the information to you, and then you decide how you want to
all right,
handle it.
yes,
Fair
thank
enough?
you. Yep, fair enough.
Okay. Anyone else on this item? I'll call the question. All in favor? It's carried. 7.5, letter from Coventry Connections Incorporated dealing with an interim rate change for taxis in Belleville. And the resolution is that the June 2nd, 2022 letter from Coventry Connections, Inc., requesting council approve an interim rate increase for taxis be received. And then I'm going to suggest that we add and approved. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Millette, seconded by Councillor Sandison. So the motion is to be received and approved. Any discussion on this? Councillor Feeney?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I'd just like to say that given the increase in the cost of gas and operations, I think that this is a fair thing for us to do.
All right. Anyone else on this? I'll call the question. All in favor? It's carried. Item 8, resolution is that council rise and go in a committee of the whole to hear and consider reports, passing of recommendations and resolutions with myself and the chair. Moved by Councillor Kelly, second by Councillor Thompson. All in favor? It's carried. 8A, reports. The agenda shall include under reports items that warrant individual attention from council. And we'll start with 8A1, the supply and installation of transit bus shelters. The resolution is that the submission from Daytech Limited be accepted for the supply and installation of 10 accessible transit shelters in the total amount of $99,129.25. This being the only tender received, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign the acceptance agreement on behalf of the corporation of the city of Belleville, and that the city clerk be authorized to fix the corporate seal, and that 2022 capital budget item 1.052, new bus stop shelters, be increased by $7,500 for a total budget amount of $89,500 to be funded from provincial gas tax revenue. Moved by Councillor Sandison, seconded by Councillor Alsop. Any discussion? Councillor Millette?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to Mr. Reid. Joe, is this brings us to how many that we're now doing? Do we have that number?
through the chair to Councillor Millet. This is a little, we did it previously approve the bus pads,
Yes.
which we had been bringing up to accessibility standards. These are a little different. These are the transit shelters. We don't specifically have a number that we're trying to achieve, but every year we've been on average doing about 10 or 12. So over the last 4 years, we've done about 30, 35.
Okay, and as a member of the Transit Operations Advisory Committee, I know that it's been a great program, and we've been quite proud of the work we've done. And just as an aside, I saw the other day when it was coming down Cats and Dogs, I saw some people that were very grateful to have this shelter, and it's quite popular in my neighborhood, the one that's there. So it's a welcome addition. But yeah, it's an average of 10 a year, is it?
Yeah, on average, we've been doing about 10.
Okay, thank you.
Right, anyone else on this item? All in favor? It's carried. 8A2, request for proposals for consulting services for detailed design of the rehabilitation of the Dundas Street Bridge crossing the Moira River. And the resolution is that the request for proposals submission from D.M. Wills Associates Limited be accepted for the detailed design of the rehabilitation of the Dundas Street Bridge crossing the Moira River in the total dollar amount of $184,257.80, this being the lowest and most qualified bid received, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign the acceptance agreement on behalf of the corporation of the city of Belleville, and that the city clerk be authorized to affix the corporate seal. Moved by Councillor Alsop, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Any discussion? Councillor Thompson.
Just one question. In the design, and I think I understand it on page 32, will this design include a bicycle path, walkway across the Moira that we've been trying to sort of get going for a number of years? And I understood that when we did that street or that road bridge, we would design a bike path and walkway across there. Is that going to be in the design?
Yes, it does. And do you want to add anything, Director
No,
Ashton?
it'll be looking at that as part of the design option. It'll also look at eliminating the stairs as well and something more accessible to connect up. It addresses the requirements stipulated in or identified in the Transportation Master Plan as well as the Parks Master Plan to have that link across the river.
Yeah, because that's so important that we eliminate that hazard that we have right there now, because people are going up on the road and on the sidewalk to get across Dundas, and we have the bike lanes now all the way across, or the paths, so that's important. So thank you.
And Councillor Thompson, I know that you are familiar with this from before. We are also continuing to have discussions with CP Rail for the abandoned spur that is on the south side of that bridge.
Yep.
It was 2 lines. Now we've gone to the 1. There's no scenario that the city of Belleville would support the establishment of a second line for a train on that level. We would love to use that as a multi-use or an active transportation lane to get across, and we'll continue to have that dialogue. I believe I'm have a meeting in July with representatives here on site to discuss a number of issues, including that one.
Good, thank you. That's just an important connection for us in the city of Belleville, so it's great to hear. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Alsop.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to voice my support for this new design, and certainly this is an important link for active transportation. I have fielded a lot of inquiries and concerns about both the sidewalk and the road surface in that area, so glad to see us getting to work on that and make it more accessible for everybody.
Good. Anyone else? All in favor? It's carried. 8A3, contract for Black Diamond Road Sanitary Sewer Extension and the New Belleville Agricultural Fairgrounds Site Services. And the resolution is that the tender submission from Coburg Development Services Limited be accepted for contract ENG 2022-14, Black Diamond Road Sanitary Sewer Extension and New Belleville Agricultural Fairgrounds Site Services in the total dollar amount of $13,752,391.14. This being the lowest cost tender received, that the mayor and the city clerk be authorized to sign the acceptance agreement on behalf of the corporation of the city of Belleville, and that the city clerk be authorized to affix the corporate seal, and that the 2022 capital budget be amended to increase capital project number 22-1.007, Belleville Agricultural Society, new site development by $2 million to be funded $1 million through tax-funded long-term debt and $1 million through user rate-funded long-term debt. Can I get a mover? Councillor Sanderson and Councillor Carr. Any discussion on this? Councillor Millette and then Councillor Carr.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you to, I guess,
Director Ashton.
Mr. Ashton, or Director Ashton, yes. The sanitary sewer that's going to be a new sanitary sewer for Black Diamond, under Black Diamond Road, I would assume that that is going to benefit Black Diamond or the cheese factory itself. Will it not? Is that in any way a benefit of this to the existing food industry there?
So they're already serviced, it goes south from that property and eventually goes across the 401. So it is not intended to service that. They already have their sanitary.
They only have their own.
They already have their
sanitary?
system, yep.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Carr.
Yes, thank you. It's never good to see us adding to the budget, but the report clearly outlines that there were some unit price increases for asphalt and pipe in the neighborhood of 20 to 30%, which was quite significant. You know, it's just one of those unfortunate things that we've talked about before, and I'm sure we'll be continuing to talk about with rates of inflation. But when you look at this overall project, and it's been talked about before as well, that getting a new fairgrounds up and running is important from a tourist perspective, promoting our agricultural sector, but at the same time freeing up those lands. So you know, while we're going to be adding some costs to this budget here, clearly obviously we're going to be pulling some profit from the existing lands to help offset some of these costs. You know, I'm fully supportive of this project. I just wanted to speak about the increased costs that we're all facing. Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Yeah, so I'll just echo those comments because, you know, we know inflation, the price of fuel, scarcity of objects are having a big impact. You know, the benefit of this one is this is a self-funded project. Taxpayers are not funding this. As the costs of the improvements go up, so does the value of that land. And so the amount that we'll be able to sell it for also increases. And so, you know, that is, as I said, it is funded through the disposition of those lands. So it's something that I'm certainly believe we got to go. If we don't do it now, the prices only get higher. And so we're in a fortunate situation, unlike some other capital projects, that we have a revenue stream to offset it. So I'll be voting in favor of it as well. Anyone else? All in favor? It's carried. 8A4, contract for the Bridge Street Lower Bridge rehabilitation. And the resolution is that the tender submission from Vector Restoration Limited be accepted for contract ENG 2022-13, Bridge 13 Bridge Street, sorry, 2022-13, Bridge Street Lower Bridge rehabilitation in the total dollar amount of $1,059,454.10. This being the lowest cost tender received, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign the acceptance agreement on behalf of the corporation of the city of Belleville, and that the city clerk be authorized to affix the corporate seal. Moved by Councillor Alsop, seconded by Councillor Feeney. Anyone like to discuss this? I know someone wants to discuss it very, very much. Should we save you for last, Councillor McCaw, or you did have your hand up first? Well, why don't we deal with your comments that I can kind of predict, but go ahead. We'll start with you.
Thank you, through you, and I'm very happy to see this. After fielding many frustrated calls and being very frustrated myself over the several years and terms on my council, I really sincerely hope that third time is the charm, and you can very well guess that I'll be supporting this. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Councillor Alsop.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And, you know, I've also received a number of calls, and, you know, if you go online to some of the local Belleville groups, a lot of concern about the fact that we're revisiting this again, and obviously a contract was awarded and that company became insolvent. That's why we're back where we are now. But I was wondering if I could direct a question to Director Ashton. In regards to the long-term outlook of this bridge from a structural integrity standpoint, is this something where we're going to be revisiting it, you know, every 5 or 10 years, or, you know, are we confident that with this repair we'll be in a good place and that the bridge will be structurally sufficient for continued use?
Engineering staff is confident that this is the contract that was awarded, with the design and the construction techniques is going to be superior than what was initially done a number of years ago. So, yes.
Thank you. And just quickly, and not to put you on the spot, but do you know what a replacement of a bridge of that size would cost just for public interest?
I wouldn't even want to guess. It's a historic structure, I guess, in a way. So, to replicate something of that sort of beauty and architecture, I don't. If Mr. Bove, maybe 20, or probably 20 million.
Okay. So, yeah, perfect. Thank you very much.
Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, thank you very much. The company that went insolvency, did we, and I'm trying to write it in here, did we pay them the full amount?
No, this is the insurance coverage paying us for the rider that we required, so that if they couldn't finish the work, we would have the funding to finish it.
Okay, so, all right, that explains it. I just couldn't understand when the insolvency, so anyway, thank you very much. It'll be great to see it done. Now, when they redo this, are they going to redo the arches and everything, or is it just the base?
Well, some of the work is already being done, as we had talked about previously, but Director Ashton, do you want to add some more information? I think the remainder of the work, if I understand, is underneath. That's what's left over now.
Yeah, and I believe there's some on the one set of arches, I believe, as well. So maybe we can get you more details on what exactly is left to do, but basically it's when it's done and repaired, it'll be as it was meant to be last year. So.
It would just be nice to see the arches all one color.
Yeah, no, they will be. They will be, but
That's really my
I think
concern.
they stopped sort of halfway through or whatever. But
Okay,
yeah.
thank you very much.
Councillor Sanderson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to Director Ashton. So the company that we're awarding this contract to, do we have any experience with them? Victor?
So I do not believe that they've done any work in the city of Belleville, but they've been reviewed by our city engineers, and they're satisfied with the contract.
Second question is perhaps for finance. So in the report, it talks about our engagement with the city solicitor. So I'm just wondering who's absorbed the legal fees to get us from where we were when they went bankrupt to now as we're awarding the contract. Is that something the city's had to absorb, or is that something we covered through the surety?
Sure, I guess the Deputy Director will be able to answer that question for us.
Thank you. Through the chair to Councillor Sanderson, those are costs that would have been absorbed within the actual budget of the project, so they would be incremental. They have, to this date, haven't been recovered from the surety.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and just before I call the vote, I do want to say something, because there is a lot of chatter regarding what we should do with this bridge. And this bridge was constructed in 1930, and it's one of the features of our downtown. We have two such structures with this entire arch style, and the footbridge, which will finally be completed this summer, also has the same type of style. And, you know, we have come to learn that there is something that is important to preserve our history, to preserve previous architecture, and I think that this is a worthy project to rehabilitate. This is something that we are going to have to deal with, you know, over the years in the future, just like if you had an old car and you wanted to keep it, and it's something, once you get rid of it, you can't have it back again. So I understand that some people are frustrated, but we also have a number of people who want us to preserve our history, preserve the architecture from those areas, and I think we are, you know, being careful to ensure that we get good value for money, but at the same time trying to preserve some of the important features from our past. And I will continue to support that moving forward as well. So, Councillor Millette, I know that you are interested in these types of things. Do you want to add anything?
No, I'm not going to tell a story of when it was built. I wasn't there then. No, just in a related question, and it's further to your description, your worship, of these historic arches. They may not be the most spectacularly elaborate structures, but they are uniquely Belleville's. To that end, I'm wondering if Mr. Reed or whomever might answer my question. I've had questions about the upper bridge and the arches on the upper bridge and the paint and finish on those. For some years has been rather unsightly. I have one resident of the city who every year says to me, when are they gonna paint that upper bridge? And I would like to someday have an answer for him, so. If anybody can answer that?
Well, let's get off track for a little bit. I want to get off a little bit more, perhaps.
Okay.
Because, you know, there's been a lot of discussion about that upper bridge, including last term, whether or not we should rehabilitate it, whether it should be turned into a pedestrian bridge. I've had a number of conversations with residents who would like to see it become a pedestrian bridge, who would like to see it become a community bridge in which organizations can paint it to represent the diversity of our community. You know, there's been discussion about, you know, the city of Rochester has a bridge for their sister cities, which they use for pedestrian-only access, but it represents the bridge between their community and elsewhere around the world. And so I say this, Councillor Millette, because I think we're really sort of looking at what the future of that bridge should be, more than just from the paint, but its use and what function it provides for us in the city. So I know Mr. Reed is looking through a book, and maybe he can bring us a report at the next council meeting. I think that's fair.
Yeah, fair enough. This isn't crucial to this
He
discussion.
can bring us back to what the timing is.
Yeah, I'm fine with
And
that.
I think that timing would help us to have some dialogue with the community, with the public, and see what their wishes are. Because, you know, since the Saganaska Bridge has been in place, once the footbridge, the Ben Cork footbridge is completed and open, then I think we need to take a look at the utility of that bridge and whether we still need it for vehicular access moving forward. Is that good? Okay. So what we'll do is we'll ask for that report to come to the next council meeting, and then we can have that community dialogue. But in the meantime, we are going to be approving this contract. I'll call the question. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. That's the last of the 8A items, so we'll move to 8B, the consent items, where council may adopt consent items by one motion, but prior to consideration of such motion, members may request that specific items be removed from consideration under such motion, and council shall consider such items individually. And so I'll go around the table and ask if anyone would like to pull anything. Councillor McCaw.
No, thank you.
Councillor Sanderson.
No, thank you.
Councillor Alsop.
No, thank you.
Councillor Thompson.
No, thanks.
Councillor Carr.
8B2, please.
Thank you. Councillor Feeney.
No, thank you.
Councillor Millette.
Councillor Carr pulled it.
Councillor Kelly.
8B4.
8B4. All right, so I need a resolution that says that the consent items be approved with the exception of items 8B2 and 8B4. Moved by Councillor Alsop, seconded by Councillor Feeney. All in favor, it's carried. 8B2, City of Belleville Grant Committee, and the resolution is that council approve the recommendations of the Grant Committee as outlined in the Director of Finance Treasurer's Report number DDF 2022-02, City of Belleville's Grant Committee. Councillor Carr is going to move it. I understand there's an amendment, Councillor Carr.
Yes, there is.
Do you want to state it now?
Yeah, okay.
And I'll get a seconder, and then.
Yeah.
So what's the amendment is?
Yeah, so for 7.7 in the report, the Saffron Hub Canadian Artistic Food Expo, when it came to the committee, the initial application was for financial assistance and $10,000, which we reviewed. After the committee meeting, staff brought it to my attention that that was not the correct application, that the application was for in-kind services in the amount of $11,492 plus HST. So what they're looking for is use of the Belleville sign, 9 portable toilets, 1 accessibility washroom, 3 hand washing stations, fencing, parking lines, garbage and recycling and composting bins, table chairs, setup takedown for parks, and waiver of food vendor licensing, building permit fees for tents, any fees related to gray water tank, water hookup for food vendors, and waiving of any fees or rentals of the food vendors. So that's the amendment.
So the amendment is approve the recommendations, and at the end, we're going to add and amend item 7.7, Saffron Hub, to change the request to $11,000
$492 plus HST for in-kind services.
for in-kind services as outlined
In their application.
in the application. Moved by Councillor Carr, seconded by Councillor Millette. Anyone else would like to speak on it? Councillor Millette.
Thank you, and I'm happy to support this, but read as much as I could on what the Saffron Hub is itself and what the Canadian Artistic Food Expo might be. It just didn't explain to me what this festival is about. I mean, did they make a presentation to the grant committee? So is this a private entity, or is this I just couldn't get my head around what we're approving for this group. I understand that the nuts and bolts of their request, but what the actual expo or the group is.
Go ahead, Councillor Carr.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. And the committee had those same questions when the first application came forward, and we actually deferred it, and we asked the Saffron Hub representative to make a deputation to the grant committee, which she did. There's a Canadian Artistic Food Expo. There's been one in London, I think one in Kitchener, and basically it's an opportunity for food entrepreneurs to showcase their business and creativity, and it's to support particularly women in food entrepreneurship. And so there is other communities that have had this particular expo, and I know there was some concern amongst the committee with the allocation of $10,000 in funds. So the in-kind services is a little bit more of a protective factor for us. Still requires staff time. The Bay of Quinte Regional Marketing Board is promoting this event, and they are getting some assistance from them for promotion. And so it looks to be a reputable expo, and so we'd like to provide it to our community. So the grant committee's recommended it.
Okay, Councillor Millette, go ahead.
Sorry, just, and that's great. You know what? I love the idea. Now, I understand it's August 6th, I believe they were looking somewhere in there. And it would be at Zwick's? Okay. So it'd be a freestanding festival. It wouldn't be part of another food expo or celebration. Okay. All right,
Okay.
great. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sanderson?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. So I too will be supporting it, and maybe just for the viewing audience who may not be aware who Saffron Hub is. They are a national, nonprofit organization that basically were established, as Councillor Carr said, to promote women food entrepreneurs throughout Canada, actually. And so their whole process is one of, they bolster food culture empowerment by sharing not only women's food histories, but their successes and the resulting equality and greater equal opportunity for advancement and leadership for women food entrepreneurs. So it's a great cause, and I'll be fully supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kelly?
Through you, Chair, just to follow up on Councillor Sanderson's thoughts, I think this is a wonderful opportunity for the city, and host this in August. As Councillor Carr mentioned, it's been in London and some other municipalities in Ontario, and you know, this is another example of our city being diverse and being welcoming, and they're going to have a great facility at West Wicks Park, so this is a win-win for the city.
Good. Anyone else? Yeah, wonderful new resident, I think, in the last year. She moved to the city of Belleville. We really appreciate her bringing this idea forward. Aren't we lucky to have a wonderful facility like Zwicks Park to be able to host these types of events, and we hope that not only is the weather cooperative, but that it's wildly successful, and that it'll be something that we see year after year. Thank you, everyone. I'll call the question. All in favor? It's carried. 8B4, the Belleville Caribbean Festival, and the resolution is that pursuant to the Manager of Economic and Strategic Initiatives, report number ECDEV 2022-13, overview provided for Belleville's Caribbean Festival be received, and that licensing fees for food trucks and food vendors and trucks be waived. Moved by Councillor Kelly, seconded by Councillor Sandison. Councillor Kelly, you had pulled this item. Go ahead, sir.
Through you, Chair, I'd like to call up Karen Post, Manager Economic and Strategic Initiatives, for a few moments, if that's possible. Ms. Post?
Yeah, she can do it right from her desk there, so yeah.
All right, thank you. Yeah, Karen and I and Alicia purchased from that department here at the city, been plugging away at this since, I think, mid-February. I just wanted to ask Karen, the event on June 25th, what economic benefit will it provide to the city, and what does it say about the city being true to being inclusive, diverse, and showing equality? I'll let you answer that.
Certainly, through his worship, to Councillor Kelly. So, I mean, festivals like this bring all kinds of benefits to a community. Some, you know, you can specifically number and quantify. Others are a little more less quantifiable, but certainly it allows residents to stay in the community, spend their money locally, which is of great benefit. They're not leaving the community and spending. It attracts people from the region. It attracts people from outside of the region to the community. They come here, they stay, they spend money, they're in hotels and restaurants and participating. Huge benefit. It provides us with an opportunity to showcase our community to all kinds of people from outside the region, which is really important. They get an opportunity to come in and see what Belleville is all about and what we have to offer. And there's all kinds of spin-offs that come from that. Maybe they come back for a vacation, but maybe they come back to live here. Maybe they come back and build a business here. So there's all kinds of opportunities. Certainly a festival like the Caribbean Festival speaks to our diversity, to our openness to other cultures as well. So it's really an opportunity for us to showcase Belleville as a welcoming and inviting community that really wants to participate and celebrate all cultures. So there's all kinds of benefits to it.
Thank you.
Anyone else on this? Councillor Thompson?
Yeah, just on the, and I think it's great, it says here, staff requested the licensing fee for food truck vendors be waived and that $200 plus HST be collected. So is that just a volunteer fee that they're being initiated to the food vendors, and the licensing fee is waived?
Through the chair to Councillor Thompson. So we are not asking them to pay a license fee, but they are having to pay a rental fee. So they do have to pay to be there for the day. So that fee goes into the budget for this event to help support the event.
And my wife's been asking sort of an agenda for that day. Where can you get an agenda for that day, like when the bands are playing and so on and so forth?
Yeah, so the information on what's happening that day is on the website, so you can take a look at the site.
On City Hall website?
Yep.
Okay.
Good. Councillor Millette?
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you to either Ms. Post or Councillor Kelly. I know Councillor Thompson is waiting with bated breath to try some of that spicy Caribbean food, and I was just
by the way, no, I'm not. Just to check that.
Jerk chicken, Councillor Thompson?
No, there's
okay.
There's
so
fish and chips there.
Okay. Do we know just offhand how many vendors in various food outlets and or other commercial outlets might be taking part?
Councillor Kelly?
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Just to follow up with some answers. Good question, Councillor Millette. We have 5 food vendors, and we have 4 local musicians. We have a headliner. We'll have face painting. We'll have a photo booth so families can have a picture taken from that special day. And does that answer all your questions?
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, as long as there's enough jerk
There's
chicken
5.
to go around.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Councillor Alsop?
Yes, thank you, Chair, and I'm certainly excited for the festival and hopefully get some roti and curry goat and ackee and saltfish and all that good stuff. So very much looking forward to it. I had a question from a member of the community in terms of how many members of the Caribbean community had come out to support this and work with the committee. As I understand, there's been quite an outpouring. Would you have a sense of how many different partners you're working with that are local members of the community?
Councillor Kelly?
Through you, Mayor. Good question, Councillor Alsop. We worked with multiple partners. Our first contact was to Kat Fisher-Andrews. She's with Queen Immigration. And we asked Kat how many different Caribbean nations are in this area. And we wanted to get it right. So we have 30 that are going to be celebrated on June 25th. I would think we had 15 on the committee, and all living in Belleville or the area with grassroots to a Caribbean island, Tobago, Trinidad, Jamaica, Dominican Republic. We had a group of talent from all the different islands. So it's their cultural festival. The city, I took my role, and Karen and Alicia from our team from the city, as we're just making sure everything can happen for them. It was their ideas to do face painting and what artists were asked to perform. It's the city's just kind of in the weeds, and they're executing. It's not. We're going to have authentic voices on June 25th. We're the MCs from the committee. All the media exposure, it's not going to be myself speaking on behalf of the Caribbean community. So those interviews that have been set up, it's all individuals on the community that will speak to the festival because they have lived experience, and it just makes sense. It's their voice. So that's where we're at with that.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And I think that is important that it's authentic from the people, and then the committee is there to facilitate and sort of get everything in line. So I think that's great. Looking forward to it.
Good, thank you. Councillor Thompson.
I'm just going to go through Mr. Councillor Sean Kelly and make sure that I'm looking forward to the Caribbean food and the spicy food, but can you make sure there's fish and chips there?
We're going to get you a special order of oxtail stew. So.
Through you, Mayor, just to follow up, it feels like a press conference. We do have, the committee felt that it was very important to have someone there as a vendor, because families coming with young kids, mom and dad may not appreciate or want to try something new. So one of the local vendors will be Burger Revolution. So they're going to be there with burgers and French fries. So we thought of that. Thank you.
Good. All right. Well, I just want to say a big thank you to all the work, Councillor Kelly, that you and your committee have put into this. Thank city staff for facilitating this so that we can put it on. And, I bumped into a person who's been contributing and helping out, Mark Phillips, on Friday at former Honorary Colonel John Smiley's funeral, and he is so excited and so happy to see this happening here. And that's just one person. I know that there's lots of interest and lots of excitement, and I am really impressed with the lineup of entertainment, particularly a Juno Award-winning headliner. That is a professional, well-run organization that it can attract that type of talent. So thank you to everybody. We are hoping for wonderful weather that can just encourage everyone to come out, and this is going to be a terrific event. So thank you to everybody that's been involved. The resolution is that the report be received and that those licensing fees be waived. I'll call the question. All in favor? It's carried. Council information matters. There's only a couple there, but council may adopt consent items by one motion, but prior to consideration of such motion, members may request that specific items be removed from consideration under such motion, and council shall consider such items individually. Let's go starting with Councillor Kelly. Anything? Councillor Millette?
No, thank you.
Councillor Affini?
No, thank you.
Councillor Carr?
Yes, 8C1B, please.
Right. Councillor Thompson?
No, thank you.
Councillor Alsop?
No, thank you.
Councillor Sanderson?
No, thank you.
And Councillor McCaw.
No, thank you.
All right. So the agenda items be received with the exception of item 8C1B. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Alsop, seconded by Councillor Sandison. All in favor? It's carried. 8C1B is the building section month-end report for the period May 2022. It's moved by Councillor Carr, seconded by Councillor Thompson, that it be received. Councillor Carr, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. And, you know, certainly appreciate seeing these reports and you know, just looking at May of 2021, there was 14 new residential permits with a construction value of approximately 3.5 million. This year, in 2022, in May, 68 new permits, $37.2 million worth of construction value. And then even just looking at the residential other, so additions or what have you, 47 permits last year at 1.3 million, 51 this year, but at 12.1 million in construction value. So just great to see the continued growth in our community. You know, we sit through planning meeting after planning meeting, approving zoning changes. We've talked about it. We've put a lot of new subdivision online, and so it's great to see the building permits starting to pick up because we all know there is that demand. But also just looking at the permit fees and the development charges that are growing from last year versus this year is great to see. So thank you.
Anyone else on this item? Yeah, no, the only month that we've exceeded this amount, as I understand, was the month that the provincial courthouse was delivered. And so if you consider the scope of that project, this is really a brand new record. It is significantly a new record. And, you know, for anybody who was wondering how we would come out of COVID, you know, I used to talk about us coming out like a rocket ship. I think this is proof of that, and we are doing very, very well. So congratulations to not just the city staff who process all these applications and get them through, but our planning staff that work with developers to get them to this point. And thank you to the developers and the investors that are making these projects happen in our city. It is certainly helping and well received. Thank you very much. I'll call the question. All in favor? It's carried. A motion to rise and report. Moved by Councillor Alsap, seconded by Councillor Feeney. All in favor? It's carried. So let's go through bylaws. First reading of bylaws, and if it's okay, I'll just read out the numbers. 2022-89, 2022-90, 91, 92, 93, 93. Moved by Councillor Sandison, seconded by Councillor Alsap for first reading of those bylaws. All in favor? It's carried. Second reading of bylaws number 2022-89, 90, 91, 92, and 93. Moved by Councillor Alsap, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Anyone wish to discuss any of those? I do want to address bylaw number 2022-93, and that is a bylaw to approve and authorize the sale of property by the Corporation of the City of Belleville to Toro LP, I believe it's LP Inc., in its capacity as the general partner of Toro Limited Partnership. So no, it's Toro GP Inc. in its capacity as the general partner of Toro Limited Partnership. And this deals with a sale by the City of Belleville for a parcel of 100 plus acres at the end of College Street East. And I'm permitted to say today that Toro LP has purchased 100 plus acres of industrial lands from the City of Belleville at a purchase price of just over $4 million. Toro LP intends to redevelop the lands with a focus on light industrial, warehouse, and logistic warehouse developments. As per the provisions of the purchase and sale agreement, permits will be issued and construction will commence in 2022. More information will be released when it is possible, but this is certainly very big news for the City of Belleville, and I think our council is very proud of the fact that we've been able to deliver this significant investment in our community. 110 acres provides a lot of space. And so unfortunately, we're not able to release more information at this time, but it will be coming shortly, as soon as it is possible, particularly when applications for site plan and building permits are turned in. But this is very, very big news, and it speaks to that positive future that I spoke about under the construction activity on the last item. Anyone else want to say anything on any of the other bylaws? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? And then third and final reading of bylaws number 2022-89, 90, 91, 92, and 93. Moved by Councillor Alsap, seconded by Councillor Feeney. All in favor, it's carried. New business. So I have an item, and it is dealing with a nomination of the Association of Municipalities of Ontario Board of Directors, and it is moved by, I understand, Councillor McCaw, seconded by Councillor Kelly. And the resolution is that the City of Belleville Council endorse the nomination of Councillor Bill Sandison to the Association of Municipalities of Ontario Board of Directors on the Small Urban Caucus, and that the resolution indicating Belleville Council's support accompany the completed nomination form to be submitted to AMO by June 27th, 2022 to qualify Councillor Sandison as a nominee for election to the AMO Board of Directors for the 2022 to 2024 term. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Councillor Sandison. And we're out of committee of the whole, so thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. So, as my colleagues are aware, I filed my papers on Friday for re-election, but this really doesn't pertain to it. This is a call for a nomination to sit on the Board of Directors for the Association of Municipalities for Ontario. And one of the requirements, these are 2-year terms, and one of the requirements is that in order for me to apply, I need a resolution from council supporting my endorsement. I think it's really important that we have representation at that level in AMO. We've had a lot of success working through our local MPPs into AMO, and the particular small urban caucus, currently we do have a rep on there. It's Mayor Joanne Albert in Tweed, and she's not running. So I did have an opportunity to talk to Joanne and find out what's involved in terms of time commitment, what I can expect to get involved in. One of the key areas I am interested in is social housing, so I'm hoping to advance that. And I spoke with some individuals at AMO about the Belleville representation and what's been the history. And the last time we had a member on the board of directors was back in 2000, and that was Kay Manderville. So anyway, looking forward to putting my name forward, and certainly appreciate the support of council. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anyone else on this item? Councillor Kelly.
Thank you. I just want to wish you all the best. I think it's important you're willing to put your name forward and get involved at the provincial level, and it's just another voice at the table, and I wish you all the best.
Anyone else? Good. You know, and I think this is excellent. Thank you, Councillor Sandison, for willing to stand up. You know, as we in the city of Belleville continue to play a role in leading Ontario municipalities forward, having a person of our council on the AMO Board of Directors allows us to be on the leading edge of getting the information and also for advocating for issues that are important to municipalities like Belleville and others. You know, if you're successfully elected in August, and certainly you've got my vote, this allows us to provide our residents with leadership, more leadership, that allows us to lead rather than simply follow or react to what's going on elsewhere. This follows up with our role on organizations like Lexicon Energy, the Eastern Ontario Mayor's Caucus, and other organizations. So congratulations to you for taking this step. I'm very, very pleased to be supporting you, and I will look forward to your successful election in August at the AMO conference. Call the question. All in favor? It's carried. Any other new business? Councillor Carr.
Yes, thank you. Under the procedural bylaw 6.3 regarding presidency during meetings, I just want to bring this up. Paragraph 5 talks about the acting mayor of the month taking on the committee of the whole. And we haven't had the rotation through committee of the whole. The last councillor to sit in the seat was March 20th, 2020, just about the time the pandemic hit. And with the declaration of emergency from the province, we had to obviously change the way we do business from seating to eventually going on to virtual, to seating again, and now with all the declarations subsided, all the restrictions have now been removed. I'd like to see us go back to proper committee of the whole and have the acting mayor of the month rotate through the chair until the end of the term. Thank you.
Mr. Beauvais or Mr. McDonald?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you to council. Certainly, we are hopefully through COVID, and at least for the time being, and as an administrative function, staff are slowly returning to normal operations here, and there's still a number of things that we need to review to get back to 100% of pre-COVID circumstances, and certainly the operation of the council meeting and the committee of the whole is another one of those. So Director McDonald and myself will take a look at that and have something that we can bring back to council next meeting, whether we're going back to the former protocol of having the mayor of the month act as the chair of the committee of the whole, or if we have an alternative suggestion for council.
Yeah, and the only thing I would just add to that is that, you know, there are still mandates or practices that are in place in Ontario. Having the mayor of the month chair the committee of the whole is not it's not something that we do in isolation. There's also the whole configuration of the council table and having our full table officers present as well. And also there are different levels of comfort around the table with people with respect to COVID and how we operate, proximity, and the example that we set. So what I would suggest is that as I speak to a number of you, if you have questions or concerns, speak with me individually. I don't believe this is a matter that a majority should decide how someone else feels around the table in terms of proximity. This is something that we're all going to have to be on the same page for. You know, we're speaking now in Ontario about the fact that if people are not comfortable going maskless, we respect their right to be able to continue to wear a mask. If they're concerned about social distancing, we respect their right to feel that way. We want to be compassionate, and I think that we've got to do that as well as members of council. So if you have comments about that, it's probably more productive to come and have a conversation with me, either if you feel that we should be accelerating it or not, and then we'll make those decisions as we move forward in the interest of everybody. And again, I'm very conscious of the fact that you know, we don't want to have tyranny of the minority where, you know, one person can prevent us from carrying on our business. But if we can make accommodations, as I've tried to throughout COVID, you know, if we've had meetings where if not everyone is able to attend, I've done my best to try to accommodate people and deal with it. And I appreciate everyone's cooperation. And I know that's how we'll continue moving forward on it. Anything in addition on new business? Seeing none, then there are no motions today. Anyone have any notice of motions they'd like to bring forward? Seeing none, announcements. Councillor Millette.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I'd like to invite not only my fellow councillors but the community to come out this Saturday for the first pollinator event that the Green Task Force has organized. We've got quite a jam-packed program beginning at 9:30 a.m. with speakers and vendors starting at 10 a.m. And as the name implies, the importance of pollinators in our community, and we've taken quite a proactive approach to promoting and helping pollinators in our community, because we all understand the importance of pollinators in all aspects of our natural habitat and our physical well-being as a community. So beginning, as I said, at 9:30, speakers there'll be presentations throughout the morning, and there will be vendors as well. There'll be displays. We'll be hearing from Quinte Conservation, the David Suzuki Foundation Butterfly Project. Some of you may be familiar with Home with the TV radio personality Carson Arthur, who's a well-known gardener. I heard him one morning on one of the local radio stations speaking about pollinators themselves while I was in the car, and he's got some great insights. Quinny Field Naturalists will be there as well, and some of our pollinator partnerships people will be giving away native plants and wildflowers. There'll be flower pot making for kids if you want to bring the family down, and some garden signage giveaway. But come on down to Market Square this Sunday, and we thank the Market Gardeners, the Market Vendors Association, for allowing us to share the George Zaguris Market Square with them this Saturday. So should be a good event. Hope to see you all down. And yeah, again, it's 9:30 till roughly 11:30 noon. So come on down and help save the bees.
Great. Thank you to the Green Task Force for your work on this. This is excellent. Councillor Alsop.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to announce that I had a great time on Friday, June 3rd at the United Way Hastings Prince Edward Youth to Youth Conference in Stirling. We had over 125 attendees at the conference, not to mention a large number of community organizations that spoke about a range of issues from mental health and addiction to food insecurity, assortment of healthcare issues, and there was a focus on LGBT acceptance, which was really wonderful to see. I know everyone had a great time. It was great to see Councillor Sanderson there, as well as the other members of the Belleville Youth Advisory Committee. And I was also wearing the hat of a young entrepreneur in the community, so I fielded a number of questions about starting a business and growing a business locally. And I can tell you they definitely put me on my toes in terms of how would you best market a Twitch streaming business, something I had never considered before, but we had a good conversation, and hopefully the youth left with a lot of takeaways. And certainly it was great as a member of the Belleville Youth Advisory Committee to see that summit happen, some of the strengths and some of the areas that maybe weren't addressed at that summit, so we can hopefully bring one to Belleville in the near future.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Sanderson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple of items. On June the 1st, my wife and I were pleased to attend the Ukraine Fest fundraiser at Haas's Diner. And I hate to admit it, that was the first time I'd ever been there. And what a throwback to days of old and the jukebox and everything else that went with it. But we indulged in Ukrainian fare, borscht and pierogies, and we had entertainment, and it was just fantastic. If you get a chance, Balaclava Blues, just incredible, just absolutely incredible. I was taken back. But the good news is that they raised $13,585 for Ukraine and Ukrainians, and they are a mainstay in our community. I've got to mention Karine Sykes and Mira Simonenko, if I'm pronouncing her name properly. Just two incredible individuals. So that was on June the 1st. On June June the 4th, Saturday, with Quinny Waste Solutions, at the Quinny Mall, we did a blue box exchange for the community, and it was overwhelming. People were it opened at 9, people were lined up at 8, and we actually exchanged 700 blue boxes there, and we sold 7 composters. Now the reason we only sold 7 is that all we brought was 7, so we actually could have sold more. And the last item is that I was really pleased to attend the Loyalist Convocation ceremony and dinner on behalf of Mayor Panchuk. That was on June the 8th. And it really was a tremendous event, giving recognition to and presenting some honorable degrees to local individuals. And the fact that they were processing 3 years of graduates in one event over multiple days it was one wave of graduates after another. So very pleased to have attended that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kelly.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. A couple of things here tonight. As the chair of the Equity, Diversity, Inclusion Committee for the city, I just want to thank Stacy Love Jolliker and her team for the Pride Committee that put on a fabulous celebration on Saturday with the parade at noon through downtown, and pride in the park as well at Swix Park. As I was, thinking about that day and reflecting on what I witnessed, and I think many people, what they witnessed was people coming together and how this city is just really embracing everything that's around us. And to see the young families celebrating with their son or daughter, it was just beautiful, the music. And I wanted to share a story. I was speaking with a young person at Swix Park. The individual is 16 years old from a small municipality north of Belleville. And I asked the person, how are you enjoying today? And the person responded by saying, I feel happy, I feel safe. I can't celebrate like I am today in Belleville, in my hometown. This individual doesn't feel accepted in their small community. But in Belleville on Saturday, this individual was feeling that equality, that diversity, that inclusion that I feel as a city have really improved. So hearing those comments from this young teenager is really what it's about. And I think we're making great strides. So to Stacy and her team, thank you very much. And when you looked around at Swix Park and at the parade, there was Belleville Police Service, Belleville Fire and Emergency, EMS was there. I saw Catherine McIver, Director of Education for Hastings Prince Edward Public School Board. All these community leaders showing support, and that's how we build relationships, by walking together. On Saturday, I had a chance to go to Loyalist College for Relay for Life. They raised $45,000. It's the first time that they got together at Loyalist in the past couple of years, and to see those dedicated walkers. Karen White was a lady I met, and Karen has been involved in Relay for Life for a long time, I think since its inception. And she was walking for her husband and walking for her brother. She lost her husband and brother within a month years ago, and here she was walking, and no spring chicken, and raising money. And over the course of her years with Relay for Life, she raised $27,000. So those stories of inspiration, and a smaller turnout this year, about 150 people, but still very encouraging, and they raised over $45,000. Last Thursday, I was along with Councillor Sanderson. I was the acting mayor for the night at the Centre for Workforce Development in Trenton at the Trentport Marina. It was their 25th anniversary. We had a great celebration there. It was nice to represent the mayor's office, and congratulations to Brad Lebedy and his team on 25 years making a difference in the workforce, supporting people, getting a job and keeping a job, and a good job at that. And finally, I know we've had some discussion on it, but this is my last opportunity to speak to it, and that's a week Saturday, June the 25th, 11 o'clock in downtown Belleville. It's the kickoff to the Caribbean Festival, first of its kind here in the city. Costume dancers, steel pan players will be there, 4 local artists, face painting. It's going to be a family-friendly day, and to end it, Juno winner Sean Jones and the Righteous Echo. And for those watching tonight and listening into this, Sean Jones would be similar to Sammy Davis Jr. back in the day with the Rat Pack, and maybe Bruno Mars for today's artist. This individual is going to blow you away. So I'm hoping we have a great turnout, and that's on Saturday, June the 25th. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Feeney.
Thank you, Your Worship. On June the 8th, I had the pleasure of representing the mayor and council at Quinte Living Center, which is now a firma. They've got new management and new programming, and I was very happy to have Councillor Garnet Thompson accompany me. He knows everybody, and it was a lovely event, and they showed off their gardens, and we got to meet the new management, and they want to do more cooperative events. Everyone is welcome there when they have an event. It's not just for the residents. And I think the energy, the food was fabulous, the weather was great, and it was lovely to be there. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you for attending that day. I had a convocation to attend, which was very good occasion. I have a number of proclamations. I'd like to proclaim the month of June as Scleroderma Awareness Month. Each year, Scleroderma Canada works hard to bring people living with scleroderma, their families, and friends together to raise awareness and critical funds for this rare disease. It is a chronic, progressive, connective tissue disease with no known cause or cure, affecting about 2,500 Canadians. I'd also like to proclaim the month of June as Aphasia Awareness Month. Aphasia is a language disorder caused by damage to a specific area of the brain that controls language expression. Approximately 1 in 3 people who have a stroke will experience aphasia. It can impact their ability to speak, read, write, and understand others. It may be temporary and improve over time, or depending on the severity of the stroke, it may be permanent. I would also like to proclaim Saturday, June the 18th as Garden Day in Belleville as a legacy of Canada's Year of the Garden 2022. Our park staff have been working hard on all of our gardens in Belleville, including the living wall insulation right here across from City Hall and other areas of the city, including the Canada flag with the 32,000 begonias that was installed last week, and I commend everybody and thank them for their excellent work. I would also like to proclaim this Sunday, June the 19th, as the longest day of smiles. Operation Smile Canada is a global medical charity providing free, life-changing surgeries and medical care to children born with cleft conditions around the world. Every 3 minutes, a child is born with a cleft condition, and lack of access to safe, effective surgery means that easily treatable conditions like a cleft lip and a cleft palate can become fatal. Operation Smile Canada believes every child born with a cleft condition deserves exceptional surgical care. The longest day of smiles will unite Canadians from coast to coast as they raise awareness and funds to support this important cause. And lastly, for proclamations, I am pleased to proclaim this Wednesday, June the 15th, 2022, as Wolf Tausenfreund Day in the city of Belleville. At 2 p.m. on Wednesday, we'll be having a plaque dedication across from City Hall by Riverfront Trail to commemorate Wolf's 15 years of service as a member of Belleville City Council. This Friday, June the 17th, we'll be joined by provincial and federal representatives at 3 local parks to officially open them and thank our governments for their contributions in making these parks possible. The Hague Park, Stanley Parkette, and Cascade Park were funded through the COVID-19 Resilience Infrastructure stream of the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program to support enhancements to community trails, parks, and playgrounds. And I'll be looking forward to having our MPPs and our MPs in attendance. During the week of May 24th, we celebrated the Mayor's Week of the Arts throughout Belleville. And I want to say a big thank you to everyone who participated, visited, and appreciated the art features we had during that week. Live music, dance, literary art, film art, and more were celebrated, and we were reminded once again of how rich our community is in talented artists. And during that week, we also launched Pop-Ups on the Bay once again, and it opened for the 2022 season. Between now and the month of July, so the rest of June, the 12 pop-ups will be open Monday to Friday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. I'm sorry, will be open Friday to Sunday, so I apologize. They'll be open Friday to Sunday, so on the weekends from 11 to 7 p.m., offering lots of food and drink options as well as bike, canoe, and kayak rentals and micro golf. You can learn more at popupshop.discoverbelleville.ca, and the hours will change in July to allow weekday activities. On Saturday, May the 28th, I was pleased to be in attendance at the Belleville's thrift store at 393 Sydney Street to help them celebrate 10 years of operations. Proceeds from the Belleville's thrift store go directly to supporting the Belleville Christian School. On Tuesday, May 31st, I was very pleased to meet and congratulate Bill Glisky, to congratulate him on his new role as Executive Director of the Children's Safety Village. Congratulations again, Bill. On Wednesday, June the 1st, I had the pleasure of visiting Ms. Chartrand's grade 1 class at St. Michael's School to educate them a bit on local government. This was the second visit to St. Michael's School since the beginning of COVID, only the second time I was there, and to educate them a little bit on, as I said, on municipal government, and I'm so glad to be able to do these classes again. On the night of June 1st, in addition to Councillor Sanderson, I was also in attendance at the Ukraine Fest fundraiser and Caring Place to raise funds and awareness for the ongoing crisis in the Ukraine. Thank you to our caring community members for hosting this important fundraiser, and it was very successful. On Thursday, June the 2nd, I attended to give congratulations to local photographer Mark Hopper on his retirement from the Belleville Cemetery Company. Mark gave 17 years of service to the Belleville Cemetery and a total of 37 years of service to the death care business. Thank you and congratulations, Mark, on your retirement. On Thursday, June the 2nd, we elected 2 new members of provincial parliament for our area for the next 4 years. Re-electing MPP Todd Smith in the Bay of Quinte riding and newly elected MPP Rick Brzee in the Hastings, Lennox, and Addington riding. I was pleased to congratulate both of them in person on election night, and we look forward to working with them as our representatives at Queen's Park to address the needs and the priorities of our city. On Monday, a week ago today, June the 6th, I was pleased to join Stacey Love Jolliker, Chair of the Bay of Quinte Pride Committee for 2022, and others to raise the Pride flag at the Quinte Sports and Wellness Center to officially launch Pride Week and Pride Month in the city of Belleville. I then joined them at the Quinte Arts Council offices on Monday, June the 6th, as they opened their 4th annual Everyone Under the Rainbow show, featuring works by 2SLGBTQIA and artists from Quinte. Thank you again to Councillors Feeney and Thompson for representing me at the launch of the Aspira Quinte Gardens Retirement Living Center. That's wonderful to see them continue their operations. On Thursday, June the 9th, I was very pleased, along with Councillor Sanderson and Thompson, to be present to sign a memorandum of understanding with the Children's Safety Village and their board chair, Matt Howell, regarding the relocation of the Children's Safety Village to Hillcrest Park. Also on that same day, on Thursday, June the 9th, I was happy to support the Belleville General Hospital Foundation and their Fairways for Fractures golf tournament. This was the 4th year of the golfing fundraiser in support of the expansion and renovation of the fracture clinic here at Belleville General Hospital. A big thank you to Todd Smith, MPP, Alex Sharp from Black Bear Ridge Village, and Sebastian Mizzi from Signature Communities for joining me on that very pleasant afternoon. This past Friday, June the 10th, I, along with other regional mayors, attended the funeral of John Smiley. As I said during the moment of silence, John was the honorary colonel of 8th Wing Trenton. He represented our local military families very well. We lowered the flag at City Hall to half staff on Friday to honor his passing. He passed away on June the 1st, and his commitment to our area was deeply appreciated. Our deepest sympathy is with John's family and his friends. On June 10th, I attended the Birthright 50th anniversary celebrations at the Banquet Center, where I brought greetings and well wishes from the city of Belleville. Congratulations to them on 50 years of operation here in the city of Belleville. This Saturday, along with Councillor Kelly, I attended the launch or the beginning of the Pride Parade in downtown Belleville. We couldn't have asked for better weather for the parade, and Front Street was filled with the colors, sounds, and signs of inclusivity as the parade marched by. Thank you very much to the Bay of Quinte Pride Committee for such a great parade and the entire week. But I also want to say a thank you to city staff for all of their assistance with this year's Pride Parade, and a special thank you to Fire Chief Belair and Police Chief Callahan and their teams, not just for their attendance, but also for their assistance. And a big thank you to the fire department, because they allowed me, when I gave greetings and launched the parade, they allowed me to do it from the back on top of the fire truck, so that everyone could see, and that was really quite something. Later that day, I was also able to represent the city of Belleville at the Relay for Life opening ceremony at Loyalist College. As Councillor Kelly said, they raised $45,000. Their budget this year was $30,000. And they raised $45,000. This was the 22nd year of Relay for Life, and the first year that the event has been amalgamated with the cities of Belleville, Quinte West, Brighton, and Prince Edward County. Thank you to everybody who took part, everyone who walked. Cancer can be beaten. Those fundraising activities help to fund the important research that helps not just to extend people's lives, but save lives of people as well. And then later that night, along with Councillor Sanderson and Councillor Millette and Councillor Feeney, we had the amazing opportunity to attend the Quinte Ballet School of Canada's 50th anniversary celebration with the Dance of Spring at the Empire Theatre event. And my goodness, the ballet performed highlights from Sleeping Beauty and the original choreography of many different dance styles, everything from jazz to modern dance to hip-hop, flamenco dance, and the music of bolero, which I think was my and my wife's favorite. It was an incredible performance. It's so impressive to see, you know, I spoke about heroes and angels about getting through the pandemic. It's hard enough to do online learning through the school system. Could you imagine also being a top-level dancing student as well, trying to learn group dances through Zoom in your individual homes? The teachers and the administrators who move mountains to make that happen truly are the heroes for these young performers, many of whom are graduating and going on to a very strong professional career, but also just to endure that like everyone else is. I really do, it is awesome to see what they had to go through, and I am the word impressed is not a strong enough word. Almost awed by what they went through, like so many others in our community, but we shouldn't forget about them. Great work to all the teachers and students. We're so privileged to have such quality dancers and such a quality institution, sophisticated here in our city, and I'm so pleased to be one of the cheerleaders of this great organization. And with that, we'll move on to a confirmatory bylaw. I'm looking for resolution that bylaw number 2022-94, a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on June the 13th, 2022, be read a first, second, and third time, and finally pass this 13th day of June 2022. Moved by Councillor Feeney, seconded by Councillor Alsap. All in favor, it's carried. And it's getting busier. We will have a lot of activities between now and our next meeting. And so I'll call for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Sanderson, second by Councillor Kelly. All in favor, it's carried. We'll see everybody in a couple weeks. Thank you.